Now let us quickly talk macrocytic anemias and walk out. I know we reached the point of fatigue. Huh? Alright, very simple, only two reasons you remember: vitamin B12, folate. Who is your patient of vitamin B12 deficiency? Already, as we discussed in neurology. Vitamin more common than alcoholic. Alcoholic is a good guess. More common than him. Ramachari, Pujari of Tirupati Ramalayam, never drinks even milk because he is a strict vegan, and out of 7 days, 4 days for different gods he will be starving. Upasan, he is your typical patient of vitamin B12 deficiency. Vitamin B12 comes only from the animal foods, so the deficiency of it. Why vitamin B12 is important? For two things. It is a cofactor for conversion of homocysteine into methionine. It is a cofactor for the conversion of methylmalonyl CoA to succinyl CoA. Now comes the story. Do you remember where methylmalonyl CoA becomes succinyl CoA in the biochemistry? Long back we forgot. Hai na? But remember, very simple thing I will tell you. You won't forget. Every amino acid, when it is being broken, what is amino acid basically? It has one carbon structure, one carboxyl group, one amino group. That is amino acid. In that you have only 2 amino acids which do not contribute for the formation of glucose, gluconeogenesis. They are called purely ketogenic amino acids, lysine, leucine. All the remaining are fundamentally both lipogenic and gluconeogenic or gluconeogenic. How is it possible? How do they lead to formation of glucose? Tell me, in citric acid cycle, which intermediate converts into glucose? Oxaloacetate is the one which takes a reverse gear and contribute to the gluconeogenesis. You agree now? Right? And it is a cycle. Any amino acid, after it is being broken in Atma, which is the carbon skeleton, can enter into citric acid cycle. One of the intervents of citric acid cycle become an oxaloacetate, and from there it can become enter phosphoenol pyruvate and then go up to form glucose. Agreed? Right? So, where will our vitamin B12 come into picture? All those amino acids which want to form and enter into succinyl CoA in the citric acid cycle by donating their carbon skeletons, they need to pass through this step called methylmalonyl CoA formation and then convert to succinyl CoA, enter citric acid cycle, form oxaloacetate and become glucose. Okay? So for this methylmalonyl CoA to succinyl CoA conversion, you require an enzyme, methylmalonyl CoA mutase, which require vitamin B12 as the cofactor, is what need to be remembered. Similarly, if you have palmitate, what is palmitate? 16 even chain, even carbon, even numbered carbon fatty acid. When beta oxidation of the fatty acid, even numbered carbon fatty acid occur, what will happen? Every time a long chain fatty acid is broken, what is released? 2 carbon acetyl CoA is released. 16 बन गया 14, 14 बन गया 12, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. 8 acetyl CoAs will form. But if it is 17 carbon, which is called odd chain carbon containing fatty acid, if it is broken, ultimately what is formed? 3 carbon, right? 2 carbon को बोलते हैं हम एस्ट्रेल CoA, 3 कार्बन को बोलते हैं मेलोनाइल CoA. That melonyl CoA ultimately enters into citric acid cycle, for which you require methyl melonyl CoA to succinyl CoA conversion by methyl melonyl CoA mutase, which requires vitamin B12. So for the odd chain carbon metabolism and for the amino acid metabolism, you require vitamin B12. Just to give you a recap of biochemistry, which is not required actually speaking, because we all passed MBBS, not even reading, you are reading too much for MBBS final year. We decided 20 topics, अगर 20 आ गए तो पास, नहीं तो 6 महीने के बाद देख लेंगे. वो 20 में से 15 आ गया और पास हो गया MBBS को. I still remember, खाली congestive heart failure पढ़ के गए, और congestive heart failure was the management of it is the major question. We were all smart readers to survive MBBS. Hard working, never, impossible. This is too much. Life has beautiful things to do at the age of 19, 20, 21. खाली वो Harrison Davidson है क्या जिंदगी? So don't waste too much time, but logically learn even the little things you read. Okay. Now, doctor, 10 days if I don't take vitamin B12, मुझे पूरा सबएक्यूट कंबाइंड डिजनरेशन ऑफ स्पाइनल कॉर्ड हो जाएगा क्या? नो, लकीली 3 or more years. Then the main source is meat and fish. And another thing, vitamin B12, how it is absorbed? Very complex process. Your parietal cells, इनका काम क्या है? एसिड प्रोडक्शन करना. इसके साथ ही साथ इनका दूसरा काम क्या है? इंट्रिंसिक फैक्टर को भी प्रोड्यूस करना. Right? Now, that intrinsic factor will travel until ileum. If it travels from stomach into duodenum, it will be killed by the seniors. They do ragging and kill it. It is very, very careful. So, saliva produces R factor. That R factor binds with this intrinsic factor in the stomach the moment stomach is released, and it carries along with it to prevent dragging until ileum. Then you have a vitamin B12 which you have eaten in the food, even that also reached ileum. Then that vitamin B12 should bind with intrinsic factor for it to get absorbed into the blood. But already intrinsic factor is married to R factor ना, उन दोनों को separate करे तो ही Mr. Mrs. or O can happen. So that's the reason who will do that job? Pancreas is the mother-in-law. It produces a protease which will come and break down the relationship between the lovebirds, the intrinsic factor and the R factor, and makes intrinsic factor bind with vitamin B12, and then vitamin B12 get absorbed. So ये पूरा process में how can vitamin B12 deficiency can occur? पहला खाना खाए वक्त विटामिन B12 नहीं खाए तो, फिश नहीं खाए तो, मटन नहीं खाए तो, चिकन नहीं खाए तो, भगवान के नाम के खाली बजा के बैठे तो, there can be vitamin B12 deficiency. Second, if you suffer a parietal cell aplasia, atrophy, some people have autoimmune disorder where autoantibodies against parietal cells occur. What is that condition called? Pernicious anemia. Or your surgeon did gastrectomy, that can create problem. ठीक है भाई, विटामिन B12 खाया, इंट्रिंसिक फैक्टर का प्रोडक्शन भी हो गया, वो इलियम को रीच हो गया. If pancreatic insufficiency is there, either due to pancreatitis, chronic, acute, whatever, that can affect. ये सब है, फिर भी ileum is suffering, let us say regional ileitis, inflammatory bowel disease, or there is a tuberculosis involving ileum, ileocecal area, or ileectomy had been done for whatever be the reason, that can also impair. So any of these can lead to vitamin B12 deficiency is what need to be remembered. So what are the causes? Pernicious anemia, there is no intrinsic factor. Gastrectomy where parietal cell mass is not there. Poor diet can lead to. Any ileal resection or Crohn's disease which can lead to development of ileitis can also lead to the development of vitamin B12 deficiency. Then fish tapeworm, विटामिन B12 के लिए ज्यादा फिश खाए तो फिश टेपवर्म आके विटामिन B12 डेफिशिएंसी कर सकता. So diphyllobothramlatum is the one which can be responsible. Then there is an entity called blind loop syndrome. For example, you have undergone a surgery and the blind loop has been left in Billrot, whatever. There the bacteria can overgrow, they may start eating the vitamin B12 which is meant to get absorbed. That can lead to development of vitamin B12 deficiency.